Yeah, start.
Bring this meeting to order, approve the minutes of October 8th.
I move we approve the minutes of October 8th.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board to vote, determine useful life.
I think we should announce who's online.
Okay, we have Jerry Little online, we have Dalila Madison, Almquist, and Robert Baker. Welcome.
Oops.
Oh,
And now
and
we
there's
have-
the tiny activist, Lee and Corey.
Ian Corey. Okay, sorry.
Board to vote, determine useful life of new fire truck is 30 years.
I move that we vote to determine that the life of the new fire truck is 30 years.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, Broom Street, host community agreement for 27 Broom Street discussion.
Hi, how are you? I'm Chris from 27 Broom Street. A couple things were concerning to me. We saw the article in the paper the other day.
I haven't seen it.
Well, that was the first we've heard of any of these issues. We received no notifications from anybody about any meetings, any demand letters or anything like that, so.
Well, we just brought the discussion in, the Gazette, it's public meeting, so they.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable, but it said that bunch of notifications in the paper. I'm not sure if that came from you guys.
It comes from the tax collector.
It said we were gonna be notified again that week that the article was published, we received nothing. So we didn't even know we were on an agenda here until the article came out.
But your lawyer, we've been in contact with your lawyers, last year,
That's for the host community agreement, not the taxes.
but you still got to do the taxes.
Yeah.
Understood, we're not disputing that.
So you ought to go talk to Heather Davis, who is the tax collector. She's in the office on Friday mornings. Thursday, well, is she there Thursday night?
Yes, Thursday night, 6 to 8.
And Friday.
Friday morning, like 9 to 1 or something.
Alright.
Yeah,
And I mean, she may have had a bad address where she was sending it or something, I don't know, but
I mean, we get the bills, that's what the confusing part was to us, but we weren't notified of any meetings that we were gonna be on an agenda because of. That's what the article states.
well, you weren't on the agenda because of the taxes, you were on the agenda because of the lawyer who wrote us a letter wanting us to sign the host community agreement. And a while ago, I had asked Heather, because we all knew that you weren't paying the host community contribution that was in the original one, and we understood all of that. And I went to Heather, I said, are they paying their taxes? And she said, no. And I said, how much are they in arrears? And I don't remember exactly the answer, but it was on the order of $60,000 to $70,000.
So we don't just, that's not true.
Well, you need to sort that out with the tax collector.
Alright, so I will separate those two, but that just appears to make us look like we owe almost 3 times more than we do. Short
Well-
host community agreement, so I mean, I guess that's neither. here nor
When was the
there.
last tax bill you paid?
We have a check for you guys right here. I'm not sure exactly when, and again, we have plenty of questions for Heather and Gina aside from you guys.
Okay,
We apologize about the delay here, but again, nobody else has reached out to us other than that bill. We're a small farm in town. We've had a really tough year last year, candidly, had a horrible year with the weather last year. We are in the process of bringing a crop in as we speak. I think the way. We weren't here at the last meeting, so I can't speak to how the meeting went, but the way the article makes it sound. Makes it seem like you guys think we're swimming in money over there. The industry fell apart.
no, we didn't think that.
Fell apart 3 weeks
Sure,
ago.
what the minutes from last meeting said about Broom Street. Host community agreement for 27 Broom Street is up for renewal. Broom Street is in arrears on their property taxes and behind in payments for their host community agreement, although I understand that's a separate issue. Judy Cole mentioned that the Cannabis Control Commission changed the rules regarding payments on host community agreements at some point, which possibly changed their payment requirements. Judy Cole moved that the board vote to respond to their lawyers that the Plainfield has reservations about signing the HCA, and that the select board is willing to discuss further, but not willing to sign at this time. The board voted unanimously in favor of this. Further discussion on whether or not the host community agreement will be renewed will take place on October 22nd, 2024, select board meeting. And this is all public record. So,
Yeah, whatever the Gazette wrote, we're not.
Oh, I'm not, and again,
For,
but we've never heard anything, we never knew we were on an agenda, so again. Just a little disheartened, that we received no notification, we would have 100% been here.
Well, I'm a little disheartened that you haven't paid your, host community donations that you agreed to on your contract.
and our arrears in.
Taxes.
Taxes.
So we have the tax.
responding to the email that your lawyer sent us.
Okay.
So I think that the responsibility for telling you that we were discussing this would have been your lawyer.
Right,
We don't routinely, our agendas are built in response to correspondence that we receive. And our foundational assumption is that the people who send us the correspondence know that they're going to be on an agenda.
Yeah, your guys' lawyer sent us an email about the host community agreement, so it gets put on the agenda.
We assume that your lawyer is communicating with you about what he's doing.
So I
and
think,
what's happening at our meetings, because we put it on the agenda for, after getting.
No,
this
he
communication.
didn't come. And lawyers rarely come, usually it's property owner, but go ahead, sorry, I interrupted you.
so again, you threw a number of $70,000 out there. What we have here, short of the questions we have, Regina, there's gonna be $12,000 open out there. We have literally here, I need to give it to Heather apparently tomorrow morning. I'll bring that into her and
Thursday
Friday.
night or Friday morning, Thursday.
probably won't.
4 to
have-
6.
Well, Gina's there tomorrow morning.
I'll get somebody down there tomorrow, to get that to her and hopefully get some clarification on the one open bill that will remain after that. Again, I don't know where the 70,000,
What's the date on the bill that you're paying?
It's actually up through February, and we have some questions, and we're looking for a state.
Through last February or
No,
this 20?
it's February
Well,
20.
don't you have to make your payments on,
Quarterly.
like everybody else, on, what is it, May 1st, August 1st, November 1st, and then February 1st?
yes, and we apologize about the delay, we barely kept our heads above water last year. I know that's not your problem, but
With that said, though, I mean, this will come back to questions for Heather and Gina, I mean. We're doing the math here and going through it, we're struggling as a business because we had a horrible year. Was there another business in town that in the last 5 years, their expenses have gone up 114%? Because that's where we're at right now, and it's not helping.
Everybody's property tax, everything. The second highest tax rate in the state.
One of 114% across the board in Plainfield.
Well, I don't know why I don't know the numbers, but everybody's taxes.
Real estate in Plainfield is taxed at the same rate, there isn't a differential rate.
I mean, farming, you guys are what, chapter 61? Or no, or you're just commercial business?
Commercial.
So it is what it is, there's no separate,
We don't have a two-tiered tax rate, there was a big discussion about that at the last meeting too.
so everybody pays the same.
Everybody pays, I think, what is it, this year it's gonna be $21.28 per acre. Per thousand and dollars of value. And previously, I think last year it was higher, it was actually something like 21.64.
so I guess what we're trying to point out is that the assessed value of our property, whoever is in charge of that,
Well, you gotta abate it with Gina.
Yes,
That's
I
the
know.
only way you can change it.
Yeah, and apologies for being naive and new to this, but I truly feel like Gina's had a target on her back here to a certain extent. She's come down and demanded her 3% host community impact fees from us before. She's demanded to see our solar field because she wants to tax our solar field. We don't have a solar field. We've never had a solar field. Somebody in town would have heard of us putting up a solar field. At that point, we are a small farm trying our business, they're trying our hardest to kind of stay in business here. We are a farm, whether we fall under 61A, whether we're considered agriculture or not, we are a farm.
You can't be agriculture, because cannabis can't be
I
agriculture.
know that, but regardless, we deal with the same thing as a regular farmer.
Oh, I understand that, and I just think that, my advice going forward would be, if you're not gonna be able to pay one of your tax bills, you take the initiative and go talk to the tax assessor and the tax collector and work something out. Just not paying it is not a good solution.
I thought,
Yeah, and there's a couple of other things that should be considered in renewing the host community agreement, and that is hiring local people. Because that was part of the original agreement and something,
Yeah, with local people.
okay. It would be good to know like the kinds of things that are happening in your business, because it seems like it's not very transparent. You know, you have two indoor growing places.
You don't have any.
You're not
Yeah, it's
doing
more-
anything in there.
No,
Like, one of them is a drying.
No, but there's a building that's.
there's a half built building with no CO on it, because the industry fell apart and we're, trying to keep our business afloat. The
So
building's
you're
dead.
only doing outdoor growing.
Yes, this is the frustrating part. There's tons of misinformation. I've had a great relationship with everybody when we went through the town. with,
Yeah.
And there seems to have been a changing of the guard.
There is every year.
I know that now, again, apologize for not keeping you abreast of the day-to-day
Yeah.
actions of the business,
I do think that that would help in people knowing is if there's communication about the actions of the business, like. I went over there once and was told that he was starting research and development in a kitchen. We had a kitchen built.
yeah, buildings have built in Stockdale, but that's not.
So, let's not rehash the past and get caught up in the who said what to whom when. Let's talk about going forward, what it's going to take for us to even want to think about renewing the host community agreement. And that would be an understanding on your part that you will proactively bring to the select board, whoever it may be. I mean, this is Ben's third year, it's my second year, and it's Polly's first year. So the entire board has turned over fully since your first agreement was set. And each year, every year on the first Saturday of May, we hold town elections. And any elected positions, if, and it's for a specific term, each term is for 3 years. So if the potential exists for 1/3 of the select board to turn over every year. And it would probably be wise of you, if I were in your shoes, I would do an annual report at whatever the end of your business year is, or I don't know when you do the final reporting and accounting on your business.
It's on a calendar year.
On a calendar year, okay, so sometime in January or February. Write a letter to the select board assistant and ask to be on the agenda and come in and tell us about your year. And if you are struggling to pay a bill to the town between your annual reports to the town. Yes, work it out with the tax assessor and the tax collector, but you might also want to get on the select board agenda. So we know that you've done that and what you said to them and what the causes were. Because we're not here to make trouble for you. But in the absence of you coming forward and telling us what's going on, we rely on our town staff to report things to us.
And I agree with that, and appreciate your understanding of that. I just want to clarify, I do feel my hesitation in doing so is because I feel like Gina's had a target on her back since we've been doing business in town at the tax assessor level, and we can sit here, that's neither here nor there for this conversation.
She's under, the assessment she does has to be certified by the state. And they dictate to her exactly what factors about a property have to be taken into consideration in their assessment. And so she could assess it, it's nothing about, you know, whether she likes you or doesn't like you, or thinks you should be here or shouldn't be here, has nothing to do with it. Because the state comes in and audits all of our assessments each year.
And it just happened right now.
Yeah, I know that because I was reading the email about it today. And if they don't agree with her assessment, they're gonna come in and change it. And if they do agree with her assessment, they're going to certify it. And it's really very black and white, so don't sort of scapegoat Gina, she's just doing her job according to the law. It's Massachusetts state law, and it drives us crazy too sometimes.
It's just frustrating because she comes down to our property once a month. She was down there 2 weeks ago taking videos of people. It just makes no sense to us.
Well, ask her why she's doing that.
We did once and she got angry, yelled at us and walked out.
Well, if you're gonna call it lawyers on us for not.
Or if she's trespassing, you call the police and you handle it legally. I mean,
Yeah,
It just, and again, I apologize, but that, I need to just explain where my hesitation on communicating with her comes from.
I mean, you can always.
Again, I will be talking to Heather, I agree
would
with
you
you,
like
for sure.
someone to be there when you're talking to them?
No, I'm gonna go right to Heather. just-
Okay, but
just
I
to be
mean,
clear
do you want one of us to go with you?
No, I don't think you have to waste your time doing that, because I'm gonna be just going to Heather, and I have absolutely no problems with Heather whatsoever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, my personal experience with both Gina and Heather, I mean, yet they reassess my property too. Has always been very positive, so, and this was before I was on the select board.
So mine always had been too, up until the point where the taxes just went through the roof. Like I find it hard to believe over the years.
Interesting to see the history of the,
Oh, yeah, we did the math before, we spent 3 or 4 hours, numbers before, we come from 2020 to 2021, it went up 61.5% in 1 year. From 2021 to 2023, it went up 30%, and then since we've opened, we're up across the board 114%, that's more than double in 5 years.
But the value of everything's skyrocketing.
The value's down right now.
Not compared to what it was prior to COVID.
We haven't done any land improvements.
It doesn't matter. My property went up over $100,000 in value, and I haven't done a thing to it. Just the way it goes.
I think the pandemic increased the real estate market for land in rural parts of the state. Disproportionate to what it.
Should be.
I mean, we've got the property on the market, the property's been on the market, we, just so you're clear, have
Yeah.
accepted 2 offers and they fallen through. Because we're trying to get this tax burden off our shoulders, like,
Yeah.
you've seen, I'm sure you guys have seen Broom Street, we're selling.
I've actually never been to your facility, but I know where it is and I drive
Also
past.
come down anytime you want.
Okay,
We were being told by the realtors that we could have got $150,000 more for it 2 years ago than we can get right now, but the taxes still went up.
Right.
It's,
So moving forward, we'll make sure once we have a substantial check here with us, we'll get to Gina tomorrow. We have 2 orders worth of questions we just need clarification on, and we will get those squared away.
one more thing I can tell you, I know that she doesn't place the dollar value on it. She plugs all the factors that the state demands into a state computer program.
Yeah, we've learned a ton about it
And the
today.
computer-
We've spoken to our lawyers about it too. We've learned a ton about the whole process. Just before we walked in here.
And you have till, what, February or March to abate, I think it's February, to abate whatever it is. So you can have it reassessed or whatever and. get it
Yeah,
changed.
we've learned, there's a whole process.
Mass law. just-
Yeah, we've learned a bunch about it today. We're gonna be speaking with them about it tomorrow. We're going to, just trying to understand everything a little better, but moving forward, we had a pretty decent year this year, not like a record-breaking year by any means for harvest.
But you were able to harvest something and you'll be able to sell something.
Yes, just to be clear, there was no profit last year whatsoever. We lost a substantial amount of money across the board.
Mhm.
So if anybody thinks that we're not paying ourselves half the time,
No,
it's just so
I had
everybody's
heard-
aware.
I had heard that when I was, because I'm also on the planning board, and when I was talking with lawyers about this stuff, they said that there were some issues.
Oh, it's the industry, we get
I know it's the industry.
about 80% less than we do for our product. The cost of everything we do goes up, the taxes have gone up 114%. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, short of being a father, yeah. And we're trying our hardest, we hope we don't have to go anywhere, we hope you guys will continue to work with us, but we've conquered the hurdles that we faced last year. Moving forward, after, we're hoping to wrap up harvest here in the next day or two, and then kind of things are upwards and onwards, so I think. Moving forward, the taxes won't be an issue, again, we apologize about the delay on that, and understand everything you guys have said
Okay,
to move forward with.
so we'll make a note to put you on the agenda each year after, how long does it take for you to close your books after the end of the calendar year? All right, so in early February, we should, you make a note of that, please. Early February, we'll put you on the agenda and someone will reach out and say, okay, can you come to this meeting?
Yeah.
And then we can, I think if we start to regularize the communications process, that might improve the relationship a whole lot and.
Yeah, and I apologize about not understanding the changing of the guard here
Yeah,
so well, and how there is a new staff here, we've been in our own little bubble trying to keep the business.
that's
going.
every town in Massachusetts. I mean, they all have their own town elections. They all have, sometimes people run the second time to get reelected, so there can be situations where you have people. In a committee or on a select board for long periods of time, but you can't expect that. You can't rely on that reliability.
I'm a Springfield guy, and that has just been the
Small
same
town-
people
small
down, it's a
towns-
different world, and I'm.
Small
apologizing,
towns are
I'm into it.
completely different than cities.
I'm definitely discovering that. person.
Yeah.
So just going forward though, as if we renew your contract. Are we gonna make a thing on impact fees? I mean, Mary's paid all hers and she hasn't even grown a plant.
I mean, the impact fees, the law, as far as we understand, we've been advised by our attorneys at this point, just to not. Is not pay at this
Well,
point.
and what KP Law has told us is that the impact fees have to be based on, they can't just be a number that we're asking them to pay us. We have to be able to document what the impact on the town was in a line item order and how much it cost us for what, whether it was fire service.
So for the past 3 years, every year that we've renewed our license, our attorneys reach out to the town, and for the past 3 years. We get a letter saying we've cost the town zero impact, we've cost zero.
Yeah.
That's where the basis is coming from, based on a lawyer, just so you guys know, this isn't us, our lawyers represent about 150 licenses throughout the state, and it's the same for everyone. What I will tell you is, we paid year one $20,000 to the town despite having something saying we cost the town nothing. There's multiple licenses throughout the state going after the municipality for that money back, we're not one of them. That's $20,000, we're not ever looking for back.
Right.
Just to be clear of what's going on around the state, that's not something we're doing.
In your original contract, though, was written up as a donation to the town.
Yeah, but
I'm just asking questions.
So I'm not a lawyer, so you have to apologize for that, but the law, as our lawyers have advised us to this point. States that any fee related to a host community impact has to be proven that we've been paying for the community, and every year we've.
the Cannabis Commission
Yeah, I watched the webinar on it.
changed the rules today.
Yes,
And
The
so,
law changed, it's not even them, they changed the law.
yeah. Well, the Cannabis Commission was the one that pushed it through the legislature or whatever. And
Cause people
so-
are struggling, businesses are struggling, the state of Florida
The
can't.
license is too many.
There's businesses closing every single week in this industry right now.
Northampton gave back millions of dollars, Uxbridge gave back millions of dollars, Plainfield gave back money, Worcester's giving back money, Lowell's giving back money, all these big towns are giving back money, and again, they're not. Here trying to look for anything back, or trying to just keep the business afloat moving forward, you've seen the struggle we've had. simply pay something we know we have to pay.
Mhm.
We're not, again, I was just apologizing about that. The host community, we do believe would probably not allow us to do business anymore, if we had to pay that, like, we would.
It would
Wish
force
I
you,
wish-
it would force you out of business.
Yeah, I mean, almost that, in my eyes, these unreasonable taxes are gonna do so soon if we don't do something to address that. I just think what we're being expected to pay is a whole nother, again, we'll worry about that in a separate forum, because it seems to not apply at this point, but, you know.
Is a good abatement form and get it
I mean, we,
reassessed.
yeah, it's probably, we're gonna have to look into that at this point. We're bringing revenue into our company, but the industry's set up for failure. It's overregulated. We've not made money in a substantial amount of time. Like, we're losing money. So for us to sit here and commit to any community impact fee where, you know, we clearly haven't impacted the community. And we're going through what we're going through based on the way the industry is set up and us being a small family-run company, I can't say I could probably do that right this second, just,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how, short of opening up all our QuickBooks
Well,
to be showing what we go through. I'm not sure that's good for a public forum, so.
No, and you shouldn't,
I'm just trying to get to the point across, we are trying to be the best neighbor we can, and we're trying our hardest to keep this business going. It's been set up for failure,
mhm,
and we have our families' livelihoods, like everything we have is into this company right here.
yeah,
And my families, his families, our children's futures are tied up in this, and that's all I can say. We're trying our hardest, and for me to commit to an impact fee when we're not impacting anybody moving forward is gonna be difficult for me.
yeah. Well, and
For a small farm.
we can't really demand an impact fee if we can't document the impact.
So you have our word, I will get this check over to, Heather Friday.
Just get clarification on the.
Clarification on the two other things and get that.
Do you live here in town?
Oh, I have to go over him.
Oh, okay. Cause I was gonna say, you could, it would be inconvenient then, because they're open tomorrow or Thursday night from 6 to 8. So that's more.
This is my job, this is pretty important to me,
Yeah.
so I can,
Either time is fine.
so I will make sure I pop in this week and speak with Heather. Get clarification on, we're gonna have a few questions for Heather specifically, just clerical things, I think, that we just really can't understand the way things are built and what we actually owe. Because the numbers that,
There's a couple of bills.
nothing's adding up correctly, so we have a solid chunk of money here. And we'll get the rest cleared up quickly.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Yes,
Yeah, I apologize for not being here on the last meeting, but just some sort of miscommunication on our, end. It may appear.
We will plan going forward to have that update meeting that's.
Yeah.
you might wanna ask your lawyer to make sure you get copies of everything he sends us and stuff.
Oh, we knew he was reaching out to you about this, it should have happened a while ago also too, and didn't realize that that was gonna put us onto an agenda, so I think that was just a misunderstanding.
We can't do anything except in a public meeting. We can't even talk to each other about town business except in a public meeting. And so if there's something that we're gonna have to vote on and sign, it's always going to end up on a select board agenda. And the select board agendas, I mean, I'm just telling you this for information because clearly,
There's a miscommunication. on
well,
our end. Disconnect.
it takes a while. I mean, I'm relatively new to town. I've only lived here for 7 years and it took me a long time to figure out all the rules that go along with this, and it didn't happen until I actually got on a committee. Every public committee in town has to post their agenda in 3 locations. In front of the town offices, in front of the town hall, those bulletin boards are, and online, and on the town calendar, at least 48 hours before each meeting. And if you don't do that, you're in violation of the Massachusetts public meeting law. So If you knew, I'm just telling you, if you know, we assume that people know that if their lawyer is sending us a letter, then they're gonna start looking on the, at least on the computer.
We didn't put two and two together.
Yeah, I do know, and I'm just trying to help you put it together now, so that.
Yeah, I'm taking
forward.
I'm taking responsibility for that, so I apologize
Okay,
again.
well,
Thank you.
I think we have a plan.
Cool, leave you guys my information, so just in case you guys want to come down for a tour. Or anything like that, my phone number and my email, just so it's not. You know, and then you can I'll pick up my phone anytime, answer my emails anytime, so. If you ever want a tour, you know,
You have the name of the phone?
there it is, High Plains.
I thought it was 27 Brook Street.
We have a DBA, so.
Okay. All right,
All right, thank
Thank you.
you, appreciate it, guys.
Yep. Next on the list is the ARPA funds discussion. We have to have it allocated by December-ish,
31st.
31st. There's, I think Peter's got a little bit of money left in the Plainfield pond.
Bill Pond is the majority
Right.
by a significant margin.
So we need to, I mean, I haven't heard nothing from anybody with the Plainfield pond stuff, so we're gonna give them an opportunity for the November meeting to come in and discuss what we can allocate the funds to for the pond.
I'll get in touch with them and let them know that they'll be on the agenda for that meeting,
Why doesn't Shannon do that?
or Shannon.
Can you do that, Shannon? Call Judy Ferber and tell her she's on the next select board agenda?
Sure.
Or send her an email or however to get a hold of her.
About Plainfield Pond.
The ARPA.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get used for the pond, what happens to that money?
We're gonna allocate it to something.
Okay.
I mean, it has to be allocated for in December to be used.
One or the other.
Allocated meaning that we have a definitive place that we're gonna spend and that.
So if you don't lose the one place, you put it in another place.
Right.
Right, good,
But you can't put it in another place after December 31st.
right.
So we gotta make sure we use it.
So just so you know, the planning board is using some of their expense money to bridge fund or what we had requested because there wasn't enough money, so we're short about $4,000. So if the Plainfield pond money can't be used, it would be really helpful to balance that.
Right.
Yeah. And I think there were a few other things, I mean, you needed more for the ball field.
Take anything we can get.
And, there were some other things on the list that didn't quite make the cut, but we could go back and look at them and maybe we ought to pull that together for the next.
But we gotta at least wait till we talk to the Plainfield pond
Right.
stuff and then we'll go from there, so.
Holly and crew, can I speak? I've been raising my hand over here, but
Go ahead.
thank you. Hi, everyone. Delilah Madison Almquist on Summit. So previously I'd raised my hand. I'll come back to that comment in a second. So now I have two comments. One is about the Plainfield Pond folks, and I'm hearing that there will be an invite to that group, the Plainfield Pond group, to come to the next meeting to see if they have a place where they plan to allocate the funds. And if they do not, then there's, you all will then take that money and allocate it somewhere else. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you all correctly. Is that what you all are saying?
Yes.
Okay, and then the other thing I was going to say is that, there is still that list. The fire truck still has a lot of money that's owed on it. There's so many other things. I heard the ball field came up and some stuff for the planning committee. So we can go back to that list again if it's helpful. We're happy to provide it if you all don't have it still. And we can provide the full list of proposals too. Every single idea on that list did get votes from people in town. So just wanting to say that we happy to support getting you all the information again if it's helpful. And that's the only thing I wanted to say about the ARPA stuff. I did just want to go back real quick about the business conversation that happened earlier and just mention that I heard that you all were encouraging that business to like come and share more about what they're up to. And it made me curious if there's other businesses that it would be good to hear from as well. And it brought to mind the all committees meeting that we've had the last couple of years. And if there could be, I don't even know, maybe some kind of voluntary meeting for businesses once a year to come and to report how things are going, what needs they might have, support they need from town, questions that they have, things that are coming up that they don't know, you know, that they're unsure about. Businesses can support each other, and it also might give us a better understanding of what exactly is happening in town. I didn't know half of the stuff that they were talking about. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Good idea.
We'll give that some thought and see how we can do it. I'm not sure I would do it like an all committees meeting, but we might have a select board meeting dedicated where we invite local businesses to come and report on what they're experiencing. And if there are too many that respond, we can always split it up into two groups or something. Something like that. I don't know, like, those are just. But that's a good idea. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Something that's not on the agenda affected.
Okay.
I don't know if you've received a letter from Lila Roselle yet about her resigning from the Energy Committee.
I don't remember seeing it, but that doesn't mean we haven't.
But according to the Conrad, she has resigned, and so they didn't have a forum at the last meeting.
Hmm.
I'm currently the liaison to the Energy Committee from the Building Committee.
Mhm.
So I was gonna volunteer to be a member of the Energy Committee. So that she could,
My example, right?
so they could actually have a meeting and get some stuff done. So anyway, do you want me to send you a note up to that end?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll formalize it. I'll check with Lila, make sure she's.
Okay with that, yeah.
Yeah, and have her send in her stuff and so we can do that.
I know that she sent Ruth an email,
Okay,
but didn't send me one.
okay. And at some point, I'd like to have a discussion about maybe cross-pollinating some of our underpopulated committees, because I think, for example, having someone from the finance committee on the buildings committee would be really helpful, because we're always trying to figure out how to pay for stuff, and if they have their finger on the pulse of what's happening with our committee, that's good input for the finance committee. The energy committee is dealing with town buildings. It really makes sense that we ought to require a member of the building committee to be a member of that committee. So if
Yeah.
we could get some cross pollination going, we might be able to fill some of our vacancies with our current manpower.
I think that's a really good idea. A really good idea. And you reminded me of the other thing I wanted to bring up tonight, but if you have anything else, I'll let you finish.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Other than the planning board is also needed for folks, so.
Yeah, since we are also the broadband board, I wanted to raise the question of the email or the letter that we got from Kimberly on, I believe it was October 10th, about the US Post Office in town being well over 90 days in arrears on their broadband payment. And they haven't paid, I think it's for almost a year, but they owe us 1,600 and some change in total, and then at least 1,200, a little more than 1,200 is more than 90 days arrears. Kimberly has been working with Whip City Fiber, and the US Post Office has subcontracted the administration of all of their broadband services to some company called Hughes. I don't know if that's,
Usenet.
is that HughesNet, the satellite company? So HughesNet strikes me, that's a conflict of interest. They don't really have much of an interest in supporting a local broadband if they would get the business otherwise, but maybe I'm mistaken on that. I shouldn't, speculate on that, but they have offered a variety of different solutions, none of which work for Hughes. They issued their payment, one of the payments they issued was to Western Gas and Electric. Well, their payments are supposed to come to the town of Plainfield, not to Western Gas and Electric. The problem originates with Stripe because they aren't willing to use Stripe, because that's a pull system. It's complicated, but I just wanted to make sure that was on everybody's radar, because at some point it's likely to land in our laps as well as the MLP board.
Yeah.
And I know that Kimberly's working on it,
I can give you an update.
okay?
Kimberly, as you know, is not in this country at the moment.
Lucky her.
But before she left, she was able to come up with a resolution, and I believe there was a check sent to the town. And a mechanism was set up for Westfield Gas and Electric to bill them directly so that the cash flow will start to happen, but she finally got a resolution. That's actually what she worked on while we were on vacation.
She's supposed to be on sabbatical.
Well, you gotta solve
All right.
problems, so.
Well, it's raised a moot issue.
If you would like for her to report on that, I'm certain she'd be happy to do that at the November meeting.
Good. Thank you.
No. She can't. She's still on sabbatical. If she solved the problem, she doesn't have to come to the meeting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm a hawk about people taking their vacations. We all need them.
Any other questions on that?
Oh, not on that, I just have something,
Okay, go ahead.
okay. Every year when we do our Halloween, the referee does the Halloween party, we always inform the selectmen and police what's going on, and, I've never missed, because I forgot to do that until now. So what is happening is we declared October 31st as Halloween. And that's when we're having our party. It has changed somewhat, instead of meeting at Mr. Tire, we'll be meeting at the Jefferson House and go to the park, where we will still have fire. We'll have a park.
Behind the public safety?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
that's our park.
okay, yeah. Well, I kind of think the pavilion in back of the town offices is a park too. You know, that open area. That's not the official town park, I get it.
Okay. So, anyway, the park behind, we call it Plainfield.
Yes.
So we're having a trunk or treat this year. So if you know of anybody, we do have room for more cars if anybody has kids to. You know,
What is trunk or treat again? I read something about that, but I'm not remembering exactly, because I've never heard the term before.
well, all the towns around are doing trunk or treat now, instead of going door to door for two reasons. For one thing, everybody's spread out so far that people have said, oh, we never get anybody at our house any longer, number one. Number two, it's safer for the kids because it's all in one place, they're off the roads.
Yeah.
So what it is people either, they can decorate their trunks, or they can just bring a car and open the door, the trunk, and have a little treats, and the kids go around the car to get their treats.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
And, but all the towns, Ashfield, Goshen.
Goshen's been doing it for quite a while.
Don't forget the donuts and the fried dough, Sandy. And then we always have Coca-Cola soda, cider rather, and we have fried dough this year. And we always have a big bonfire.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
I assumed it was still gonna happen, but I would have gone to the wrong place.
Dalila has her hand raised, so.
Sheila?
Hey, Delila Madison, Almquist Summit Street. Sandy, I'm excited about the fried dough, just as excited as Thelma. I have a question. You said, did we need to tell people if we're gonna trunk or treat? What did you say? If we want to sign up, we have to let people know or something?
What we said was that if you could let us know so we would know how many cars we had coming. It doesn't, it's not an absolute necessity. It would just be helpful so that we would know, you know, how much room we have to allot for them.
Well, you can line those cars up all in one area.
And if anybody has a question, they can give me a call. My number is on both our posters, and it's on everything you can do.
So you're saying I can find more information on everything Plainfield then? Where am I finding this information?
Well, we have posters up in 7 different places in town.
Oh, geez, Louise,
It tells everything that's
I mentioned the
happening.
library is one of them.
We have the library, we have the town office, we have the post office, we have district tire, we have the dump, we have here. We have it at the firehouse.
At my shop.
And it's on repair, so. And then it's been, the poster has been posted on every Plainfield on with the previous post.
Man, you really miss stuff when you don't go out for a week and you don't go on everything Plainfield. Thank you so much. I'm glad I was here to hear it.
Any questions, you know, feel free to call me, and like I said, if you need the number, I'm going to speak on. And if you know anybody who would like to join us, we'd love to have them.
Any other questions? Mark gave me dropped off the application for driveway permit. It's been revised a little bit as far as culverts and mailbox position. The purpose is to prevent deterioration of town roads due to improper driveway construction, ensure safe access to and from town roads. Regulations: driveway must be perpendicular to town road with a minimum of 20 feet from the edge of the traveled way. First 20 feet shall be kept clear of any visual obstructions within an area of 12 feet either side of center line of driveway. First 20 feet of driveway must have a minimum of 12 feet width. Driveway grade cannot exceed 5% within the first 20 feet. Any new driveway construction or existing driveway reconstruction needing to address drainage along a town road must be approved by Town of Plainfield Highway Superintendent. If a culvert is necessary, culverts of appropriate size and durable material shall be installed at the expense of the property owner. Culvert specifications shall be approved by Highway Superintendent before installation. Any expense incurred by town to correct damages to town property caused by defective, poor design, washout, obstructed drains, or other failure related to driveway shall be paid by the driveway owner. Applicant is responsible for notifying DigSafe prior to the start of construction. Highway Superintendent will inspect the project during and after construction with the authority to halt construction if unsafe or not approved practices are being used.
One question, I checked when I was on mailboxes. It's in control of the.
US Post Office.
Well, that's just height and certain feet back, but there's a few in town that are not where they're supposed to be and they're in the road. And they need to do it. Plowing.
Hope that she's a little bit not. It's a technicality, it had to be a leash.
Right, but they're supposed to be off the road a certain amount for them to be able to pull over to put your mail in, so. There's a few that,
How many feet is it? Not really that much.
well, mine's like 2 feet or something like that, but. There's a couple that aren't that, so.
So what is the fee for the driveway permit? Do we specify that?
No,
Could we talk about that too earlier, didn't we?
but this is just the application,
Right.
so.
But the application ought to come with a check for the fee. So we ought to decide the fee and have that on that application document somewhere. You know, return this application with your $100 permit fee to the,
Typically, a driveway is part of a construction project,
Right.
so it would be done with by the building commissioner.
Right.
we collect that fee, so if you wanna increase the fee of the building permit to include the administrative costs for the highway superintendent to do the review, we can amend those fees.
These were just added to the original permit thing, regulation, so he added 1, 2, 3, 5 things to what was already existing, so we're just adding it to this original.
But I'm thinking about when we had our conversation after his performance review,
Right.
and he was proposing that we add $100 to the building permit fee or make it a driveway fee or whatever. I didn't know how that would, if you could just combine them or what. But he was suggesting that, because he said that he knew of other towns that charged an additional fee if you were building a driveway.
And the only other question I have is whether or not this constitutes a town bylaw, in which case it would have to be voted on at town meeting as opposed to just adopted.
Yeah.
So,
And if it,
we did, put some driveway regulations in one of the zoning revisions. But none of that stuff was in there, and that would be a good place for it to be
To land.
codified and.
And the zoning bylaws have to be approved at a town meeting?
Correct.
Can it be a special town meeting or does it have to be an annual town
It
meeting?
can set the town meeting, but it can also, we can do a bylaw, and it doesn't have to be a zoning bylaw.
Because there's a lot of dirt roads that don't have culverts and driveways, and it's ruining the roads, because the water comes out instead of going down the side, so.
Absolutely.
well, if it were a new bylaw, would old driveways be grandfathered or?
Depends on the road and the situation, and they'd have to be inspected.
I think it's kind of hard to retroactively require an owner to put a culvert in. I don't know. Sandy, you had your hand up.
Depends on the problems it causes.
I believe that when you're doing a zoning bylaw, it has to be at an annual. town
Oh,
meeting.
okay, thank you. I was unsure of that.
There are a lot of driveways that need culverts, and the town's not paying for it, so. Because if we do one, we have to do them all, and we're not doing them all. And most towns, it's up the property owner that pays for the culvert and have it installed.
That's true, but if we have a lot of existing driveways that do not have culverts that were allowed to be installed. And there's a problem with the drainage. I'm not sure what the remedy is.
Mark was saying if the landowner bought the culvert, he put it in with no charge or what.
That's what we used to do.
Yeah. And then he has culverts with the discounted price too, so.
Right. And then if it's in the right of way, is the culvert maintained by the town? At that point? In terms of
You gotta
keeping it clear and open?
check in, it had to do quite a few on West Street. Dave Woods was one of them, driveways up, a couple of them back in. And
I mean,
technically, it's up to the town to keep the ditches. Run.
so as far as right now, I mean, Mark's kept every ditch. He's opening them all up, so obviously, I'm sure if he was still the superintendent, he would be maintaining, all as he went down the road.
Right.
So we always put them in, property owner pays for the culvert.
Right.
That way we know it goes in like we want.
Right,
And then that's pretty fair.
that's a good deal. How much does a piece of culvert cost?
Sorry, it depends on size, length and all that, but probably close to $1,000 or something.
Probably now, yeah. It used to be
Several hundred.
$350. But that's all changed.
That's a while ago.
That's quite a few years ago.
Like 30.
So I imagine we should at least. Well, Peter, we gotta figure out if we can just adopt this to it or.
So if it's in the bylaw, it would have to go through a public process. We'd have to have public hearings on that sort of stuff. If it's not by law, we should check and see what the procedure is for that. It might be easier to adopt it as a town bylaw than a zoning bylaw.
Yeah.
All right, well, Donald, Vanessa ever calls me back, I can ask him that question.
It would still require a town meeting vote, but I don't know if it's the same sort of. Because with the zoning bylaw, you have to have published public hearing. There's a certain number of days you have to post it and advertise it. There's all kinds of documentation. I have to make sure that there was proper notification before it is adopted. And you have to document all that to the town clerk to get it to pass to Mr. for the AG.
Yeah,
Well,
so we need to do a little more research on this.
yes,
But I don't take exception to any of the additions he was making. I thought they were all very good.
very fair.
I agree.
Seems to me he could go to the property owners where there's a problem and try to work with them to get it to be fixed.
Yes, but I mean, as far as going forward, he wants to get it
That little mini.
for new driveways and, because I mean, eventually we're gonna have some new construction.
Exactly, and any new construction should have a permit from him anyway, and so he can set the regulations as the highway superintendent for what he wants to have happen
Right.
at that point in time. So he can basically enforce that until we adopt it because it's discretionary at that
Right.
point.
Sandy?
Yeah, I just have a question is, I'm not even sure if he'd have to, really, the town would have to adopt it. He has the right to
Enforced.
enforce what he needs to in order to keep the roads safe. And he has, that's his discretion.
Right. So,
I'm not even sure they would have to go.
well, we should probably just make sure that it's legal. I don't know if you wanna
Right.
take the law or what you wanna do.
Right.
It's probably worth knowing, so we're not adopting something that we come back and fight us
Well,
later.
that could. Yeah, I was gonna say, give me that, because that could easily be a part of the conversation about. Trying to develop some sort of a standard. Memo of understanding that if contractors. Are bringing in heavy equipment to town for projects they're working on. They are going to, how do I turn this thing off there? Sorry.
Don't get distracted.
Here you go.
There. We are trying to talk to KP Law about implementing a contract, a memo of understanding, an agreement letter, whatever. That if these giant heavy trucks are coming into town for logging or for Eversource or for construction or whatever. And they damage the roads, the contractor commits to repair the road, that it's not going to be the town's burden. Now, we know we're not gonna get anywhere with Eversource because they're governed by federal mandates or whatever, but we could do it with, bringing in big bulldozers or the logging truck that's gonna be working down on the logging operation down on River Road. So, it's a way of mitigating the damage that was done to like West Street and some of the damage that has now been repaired on Prospect Street and that the burden of all of that cost falling on the town.
Well, we did get the one-stop grant to fix West Street,
I heard that, I saw it,
so springtime it'll be fixed.
Excellent.
but it isn't the full amount needed, is it?
No, but we got some money from Eversource, so.
We did,
You do have it? Yeah,
Is that the scrap thing?
Yeah, we got the strap grant, and then what we got from Eversource will foot the bill to do that whole section of road over, so.
Right.
It's already being in the works, planned for May, and he's gonna start right on it, and it'll be done.
spread the word. West Street will be happy.
Any other questions?
Maybe. No, the complaints I got on Prospect Street already.
No, about people speeding.
Yep, well, geez, everybody comes in the shop. I found out, say, officer, no,
It's smooth, you gotta go.
no, I deliberately go exactly the speed limit. Just to piss off the people behind me. I do that in the middle of town too, on 116. I figure, hey, that's what we're supposed to do.
Anything else?
I move we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
I
I
probably should adjourn before that last part.